Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're digging into a legal document that just came out and it's about as thrilling as watching paint dry. Or is it? We will see if there are hidden gems. We are looking at a report from Janus International Group and it seems they've gone through some behind the scenes changes focusing on how they changed some rules about voting and who gets to be on the board. If you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. And hey, join our Discord community in the description below for even more insights. Scroll entity registrant NIME Kitu 20250616 toin got 20 safe erki dr kani xagi 7 Accession International Group Inkstraund Janus International Group located in Temple, Georgia, just filed this report on June 17, 2025. The report is called an 8K and it's basically a heads up about big stuff happening in the company. The most interesting change revolves around the board of directors, which is like the leadership team of the company. Previously, to make certain changes like kicking out a director or modifying rules, you needed a supermajority vote, more than half basically. Think of it as needing almost everyone to agree. Now they've made it so you don't need such a high level of agreement anymore, making things potentially easier to change. The shareholders, the people who own the company's stock, voted to approve these changes at a meeting, so it's not just a few people making decisions. Let's talk a bit more about that annual meeting. It happened on June 16, 2025 and was held virtually, meaning people could attend online. Only people who own stock by April 23, 2025 got to vote. There were almost 140 million shares that could be voted, and people holding around 96% of those shares showed up, either in person or by proxy, meaning they assigned someone else to vote for them. That's a pretty good turnout. Now, what exactly did they vote on? First, they elected 3 people, Rami Jackson, Xavier Gutierrez, and Heather Harding, to the leadership team or board. They also confirmed KPMG LLP BNG as their accounting firm. And they gave a thumbs up to how the company is paying its top executives, although this vote wasn't binding, meaning the company didn't have to listen. Finally, they voted to change the rules around the board of directors. Alright, let's dive into those voting numbers. First up, the election of directors. Rami Jackson got almost 125 million votes in favour, with about 2-3 million withholding their support. Xavier Gutierrez secured nearly 12 votes and around 3 million withheld. Lastly, Heather Harding received over 25.5 million positive votes and 1.6 million withheld. Notably, there were around 8 million broker non-votes. Those are shares held by brokers where the owner didn't give voting instructions. All 3 nominees are in Scroll Independent Registered Poijin Public Accounting Firm. Scroll next. The ratification of KPMG as the accounting firm, a whopping 133.6 million voted in favour, about 1.5 million voted against, and just a tiny fraction, around 18,000, abstained. Now for the compensation of the executives. This one had a bit more division, around 90.7 million approved the compensation, but 36.4 million voted against it. Again, there was a negligible fraction abstained, roughly 21,000. Scroll amended and restated the company's certificates of incorporation to declassify the board. Scroll civ. Okay, proposal 4 was big news, changing the rules about the board of directors. About 1,227.1 million voted for it, with very few against. Proposal 5 was split into 2 parts. 5 Tayan tackled those supermajority vote requirements for changing company rules and removing directors. We see that 127 million shareholders voted for 116,762, voted against, and a similar number to the previous proposals for abstaining. 5B eliminated supermajority votes for certain business opportunities. Again, similar data with 127 million for, 116,000 against, and 17,000 abstaining. This means big changes are coming to how things are run at the company. If you want to dive deeper, the actual legal documents that spell out these changes are included as exhibits. Quite alright, let's zoom out and look at what this all means. Janus International Group is making some governance changes, shifting away from a system where it takes nearly unanimous agreement to make big decisions. Think of it as moving from a system where it's hard to turn a big ship to one where it's slightly easier to adjust course. One big change is declassifying the board of directors. This basically means that instead of directors serving staggered terms and only some being up for election each year, eventually all directors will be elected every year. This makes the board more accountable to shareholders because if the shareholders aren't happy with the board's performance, they can replace the whole thing more quickly. Another key change is eliminating supermajority voting requirements. Previously, certain important decisions like amending the company's rules or removing a director required a very high percentage of shareholder approval. Now, it will be easier to make these changes. This can be good because it makes the company more flexible and responsive to shareholder concerns. However, it can also be seen as a weakness as it could allow a smaller group of shareholders to push through changes that aren't in the best interest of everyone. By opening the doors and making it easier to elect or re-elect members, there is a lot more pressure on the board to be aligned with the shareholders' interests. Overall, these changes suggest that Janus International Group is aiming to be more responsive to its shareholders and more flexible in its decision making. It will be interesting to see how these changes play out in the coming years. Alright, that's our breakdown of Janus International Group's latest filing. What's your take on these changes and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.